Anakin Skywalker does not arrive in the Marvel Universe as a hero. He arrives as a mistake the universe does not know how to correct. There is no portal of light, no cosmic fanfare, no dramatic thunder splitting the sky. One moment the streets of New York pulse with their usual chaos, sirens wailing, crowds shouting, the mechanical heartbeat of a city that never sleeps. The next moment, he simply exists where he did not before. A man in robes, a weapon at his hip, eyes that have seen galaxies burn. And in this new universe, every atom screams wrong. The Force hits him like a tsunami. In his own galaxy, the Force was a river, powerful, dangerous, but navigable. Here, it is an ocean in a storm. Millions of minds crash against his consciousness all at once. Mutants whose very DNA defies nature, sorcerers bending reality with gestures, cosmic entities whose thoughts echo like thunder across dimensions. Anakin staggers, one hand pressed against cold brick, fighting to breathe through the sensory assault. This universe doesn't just have power. This universe is drowning in it, unregulated, unchecked, chaotic, everything the Jedi Order spent 10,000 years trying to prevent. He closes his eyes and reaches for calm, the way Master Yoda taught him. But calm is impossible here. The Force shows him too much. A woman in Harlem whose grief could shatter reality itself. A man in a metal suit whose arrogance bleeds through the ether like poison. Gods walking among mortals, playing at heroism while civilizations collapse in their shadow. And underneath it all, a darkness that makes the Sith seem like children playing with matches. Thanos, Dormammu, the Void, names he doesn't know yet, but whose presence makes his lightsaber hum with warning at his belt. Anakin opens his eyes to a world that feels like a fever dream. Buildings tower higher than the spires of Coruscant, yet there is no order to their construction, no planning, no unity. Just endless competition, endless noise, endless suffering dressed up as freedom. A hover vehicle, no, a car, crashes through an intersection, pursued by something that looks human but moves like lightning. Civilians scatter, screaming. No one helps. No peacekeepers arrive. The strong do what they want. The weak survive if they're lucky. This is what happens when power exists without wisdom. This is chaos wearing democracy's mask. His hand drops to his lightsaber, muscle memory from 1,000 battles, but he does not ignite it, not yet, because Anakin Skywalker is not here to save this universe. He doesn't even know if it can be saved. He is here because the Force pulled him here, and the Force is never wrong, only cruel. Every instinct screams at him to impose order, to stop the madness, to make people see reason before they destroy themselves. The same instincts that led him to slaughter Tusken Raiders. The same instincts that will, in another timeline, lead him to kneel before Palpatine. The instincts of a man who believes he knows what's best, even when the galaxy burns to prove him wrong. But here, in this moment, none of that has happened yet. Padme still lives in his memories as warmth, not tragedy. Obi-Wan is still a brother, not an enemy. The name Darth Vader means nothing. Anakin is still a Jedi, broken, arrogant, powerful beyond measure, but still a Jedi. And that makes him the most dangerous thing this universe has ever seen. Because the Marvel Universe doesn't need another hero with good intentions. It has thousands of those. What it cannot handle is a man who believes peace can be enforced, justice can be absolute, and that sacrifice is always worth the cost. This universe is about to learn what the galaxy far, far away already knows. Anakin Skywalker's greatest strength is also his fatal flaw. If you want to see how far one man's conviction can drag an entire universe into darkness, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because this story doesn't end with victory, it ends with a choice. The same choice Anakin always makes. And in the Marvel Universe where gods stumble and heroes fall, that choice will echo across dimensions. Drop a comment and tell me, is Anakin a villain or just a victim of every universe he enters? Because by the end of this tale, you might not be able to tell the difference. The first person to notice him is a child, A little girl with brown eyes clutching a stuffed toy, staring at the man in strange robes with the weapon on his belt. She doesn't understand what she's seeing. Neither does her mother, who pulls her away quickly, instinct warning her that some strangers are more dangerous than others. Anakin watches them go and feels the weight of his purpose settling over him like a shroud. The Force brought him here for a reason. In a universe where everyone has power, no one notices the most dangerous man alive. Not yet, but they will. And when they do, it will already be too late. The explosion comes 3 hours after Hiki's arrival. Anakin is walking through what the locals call Hell's Kitchen, a name that would be ironic if it weren't so accurate, when the building 2 blocks ahead erupts in flame. Not the clean burn of blaster fire, but something chemical, volatile, wrong. The shockwave rattles windows. Civilians run in every direction, no coordination, no evacuation protocol, just blind panic. Anakin's hand moves to his lightsaber, but he freezes. In the heart of the inferno, he senses something that makes his blood run cold. Not fear, not pain, laughter. Someone is enjoying this. Through the smoke, a figure emerges. Green skin, purple pants, muscles that defy human anatomy. The Hulk, though Anakin doesn't know the name yet, roars his challenge to the sky, and the sound carries the weight of mountains crumbling. He is fighting something else, something mechanical, all chrome and red repulsor light. Iron Man banks hard left, fires a missile that detonates uselessly against green flesh, and shouts something that sounds like a quip, a joke. They are trading jokes while buildings collapse and people die. Anakin's jaw tightens. This is their idea of heroism. This is what passes for justice in a universe without the Jedi Order. He extends his hand, not thinking, just reacting. The Force surges through him like a river breaking through a dam. The Hulk, mid-leap, simply stops, frozen in mid-air. 3 tons of gamma-radiated rage held in place by invisible hands, struggling against a power he cannot see or comprehend. Iron Man's AI screams warnings about gravitational anomalies, magnetic field distortions, errors that don't make sense. Tony Stark hovers there, repulsors charged, staring at the robed figure 200 meters away with one hand extended. Casual, like stopping a monster mid-rampage, is as simple as breathing, because for Anakin Skywalker, it is. "Stand down!" Anakin's voice cuts through the chaos, amplified by the Force, reaching every ear in a 3-block radius. Not a request, a command. The kind of voice that ended wars on a dozen worlds. Whatever your conflict, it ends now. You are endangering civilians. The Hulk snarls, fighting against the invisible grip, veins bulging, muscles straining. Anakin tightens his hold, not enough to harm, but enough to make a point. In his galaxy, this would be simple peacekeeping. Restrain the threat, protect the innocent, maintain order. But Tony Stark's response makes it clear that this universe operates on different rules. "Yeah, hi, terrifying wizard guy." Stark's voice crackles through external speakers. "Unless you want to explain how you just violated about 17 laws of physics, I'm going to need you to put down my angry green friend." Anakin's eyes narrow. The man in the metal suit speaks with the casual arrogance of senators and crime lords, people who believe their wealth or technology places them above consequence. The Force whispers warnings about this one. Genius intellect wrapped around a core of trauma and ego. Dangerous, but not in the way the Hulk is dangerous. Stark is dangerous the way politicians are dangerous, through influence, through corruption masquerading as progress. "I am maintaining order," Anakin replies, his tone colder now. "Something neither of you seemed interested in doing. How many died while you traded blows? How many more will die if I release him?" It is a genuine question, but it sounds like an accusation, because it is. The Hulk's struggle intensifies. Anakin feels the raw power underneath that green skin, something primal and infinite, rage given physical form. It reminds him of the dark side, pure emotion, weaponized, uncontrollable, consuming. And yet this universe tolerates it, weaponizes it, calls it a hero. The cognitive dissonance makes Anakin's head throb. In his galaxy, such a creature would be contained, studied, helped if possible, but never allowed to rampage through population centers. Here they put him on a team, give him a code name, pretend the collateral damage is acceptable because the monster sometimes fights for the right side. It is madness, sophisticated madness, but madness nonetheless. He lowers his hand slowly, carefully, releasing the hulk by degrees. The green giant drops to the pavement, creating cracks that spiderweb outward and immediately whirls toward Anakin. But the rage in those eyes is different now, confused, wary. Bruce Banner, buried somewhere in that mountain of muscle, recognizes a threat when he sees one, recognizes something worse than weapons or armies, a being who could hold him like a child holds an insect, decides whether he lives or dies with the same casual ease. The Hulk huffs, steam rising from his shoulders, but does not charge. Even rage knows when it has met its match. Even monsters have survival instincts. Tony Stark lands between them, repulsors still charged, HUD running 1,000 analyses per second and coming up with nothing useful. "Okay, new rule," he says, and Anakin can hear the false confidence, the fear underneath. "Mysterious Force users don't get to play judge, jury, and executioner in my city. I don't care how impressive your parlor tricks are." My city, as if this place belongs to him, as if billions of lives are property to be claimed. Anakin has heard that tone before, from Jedi who forgot they were servants, from senators who confused authority with ownership. It always ends the same way. Pride before the fall, arrogance before annihilation. Anakin's hand rests on his lightsaber, not a threat, just a reminder. "This is not your city," he says quietly. "It belongs to the people dying while you play at being heroes. In my galaxy, we had a name for those who caused suffering in the name of stopping it. We called them Sith." The words hang in the air like a death sentence, because Anakin Skywalker, still weeks away from his own fall, doesn't see the irony, doesn't recognize that he is describing himself, that every criticism he levels at this universe is a mirror showing him his own future, that the Force brought him here not to save the Marvel Universe, but to show him what happens when power meets conviction without wisdom. And in the distance, watching through mystic arts and astral projection, Dr. Stephen Strange sees it too, sees the newcomer, sees the danger, and begins to wonder if this universe just inherited a problem it cannot solve. In the Sanctum Sanctorum, Dr. Stephen Strange's hands freeze mid-gesture, the spell he was weaving collapsing into sparks. The eye of Agamotto burns cold against his chest, warning him of something that should not exist. A new energy signature has appeared on Earth, something that is not magic but behaves like magic, that is not cosmic but carries the weight of galaxies. It feels old and young simultaneously, disciplined yet chaotic, a contradiction wrapped in human flesh. Strange's third eye opens, piercing through dimensions, and what he sees makes him take an involuntary step backward. A man, just a man. But around him, reality bends like light around a black hole. The universe itself seems uncertain how to classify him. Neither mutant nor magic user, not inhuman, not cosmic, something else entirely, something the universe has no framework to contain. Wong enters the chamber, drawn by the sudden spike of mystical energy. "What is it?" he asks, already summoning defensive wards. Strange doesn't answer immediately. He is watching Anakin Skywalker stand alone on a rooftop 3 miles away, watching the city with eyes that have seen too much. The Force radiates from him in waves, touching everything, analyzing everything, judging everything. Strange has faced Dormammu, has bargained with cosmic entities, has walked through dimensions where madness is the only constant. But this man frightens him in a way those horrors never did. Because Dormammu wants to consume, this man wants to save, and salvation from someone who believes they know best is often more dangerous than damnation from those who embrace evil. "He is a fulcrum," Strange whispers, and Wong understands the weight of that word, a point upon which reality pivots, a single decision that could cascade into 1,000 consequences. He carries something that does not belong in this universe, not the Infinity Stones, not dark magic, something older, more fundamental. The cloak of levitation stirs restlessly around Strange's shoulders, sensing the danger, ready to flee or fight. Strange makes a decision. Bring him here, peacefully if possible. We need to understand what he is before what? Before he decides Earth needs to be saved. Before his good intentions pave the road to a hell this universe has never imagined. Strange doesn't finish the sentence. He doesn't need to. 20 blocks away, in a modest apartment in Queens, Wanda Maximoff gasps awake from a nightmare that isn't hers. She saw herself but different, twisted, corrupted by grief into something that rewrote reality itself. The Scarlet Witch, a title she doesn't yet carry, in a timeline that hasn't happened. But the vision felt so real, so inevitable, like watching a future already carved in stone. Her hands shake, chaos magic crackling red between her fingers, responding to her emotional turmoil. And then she feels it, him, another presence whose power runs on emotion, whose strength comes from conviction so absolute it borders on delusion. Anakin Skywalker. She doesn't know his name, doesn't know his story, but she recognizes a kindred spirit, someone else whose love could destroy worlds, someone else terrified of losing what they cannot bear to live without. She reaches out with her power, tentatively, the way one might reach toward a flame to test its heat, and Anakin feels it, feels her touch against his mind like a whisper in a silent room. His eyes snap open, the Force surging defensively, and for a moment their powers clash. Chaos magic meets the Force in a collision that sends pigeons scattering and makes reality shiver. Anakin is on his feet instantly, lightsaber in hand, searching for the threat. But Wanda pulls back, frightened by the sheer intensity of what she touched. This is not like Pietro's speed or Vision's Mind Stone. This is something that has toppled governments and ended wars, all wrapped up in a man who still dreams about someone named Padme and wakes up reaching for a hand that is not there. Higher still, beyond Earth's atmosphere, in the realm where cosmic entities play games with galaxies, the living tribunal takes notice. One of its three faces turns toward the blue planet, analyzing the disturbance. The Watcher, sworn to observe but never interfere, feels the weight of that oath press heavier than usual, because Uatu has seen this pattern before. Powerful being, good intentions, unshakable conviction, it always ends the same way. The Watcher's massive eyes reflect scenes from 1,000 doomed timelines, and in each one, the man with the lightsaber makes the same choice, every single time. But the Watcher cannot speak, cannot warn, can only watch as another universe learns the oldest lesson of all: the road to hell is paved with certainty. Anakin senses them all now. The sorcerer probing him from across the city, the woman whose power tastes like grief weaponized, the beings watching from higher dimensions, judging him the way he judged Iron Man and the Hulk. He is surrounded by powers he doesn't understand, in a universe that operates on rules foreign to everything he knows. A Jedi would seek knowledge, would approach with humility, would acknowledge the limits of their understanding. But Anakin Skywalker has never been good at humility. Instead, he does what he has always done when faced with the unknown. He decides. A crime unfolds beneath him. 3 men cornering a woman in an alley, weapons drawn, intent clear. In his galaxy, he would intervene, disarm, arrest. Here, he does the same, but differently. The Force moves through him like a tide, and the 3 attackers simply collapse, unconscious before they understand what happened. The woman runs, saved but terrified, never seeing her savior. Anakin watches her go and feels satisfaction. He helped someone, protected the innocent, maintained order. This is what Jedi do. This is right. He doesn't so. T noticed the cameras recording from 3 different angles, doesn't realize that his casual display of power is already being uploaded to social media, analyzed by S.H.I.E.L.D., flagged by governments. Doesn't understand that in this universe, power without registration is seen as a threat, not salvation. That his good deed just painted a target on his back. And in the Sanctum Sanctorum, Dr. Strange watches the footage with growing horror, because he recognizes the look in Anakin's eyes, the absolute certainty, the unshakable conviction that he knows what is right. Strange has seen that look before, in mirrors during his darkest moments. It is the look of someone who believes they are saving the world, right up until the moment they realize they destroyed it. The summons comes not as a request, but as a transportation. One moment, Anakin is standing on that rooftop, processing the 1,000 minds pressing against his awareness. The next, golden light erupts around him in geometric patterns, and reality folds like paper. He has a fraction of a second to react. Lightsaber ignites, azure blade humming, before he is somewhere else entirely. A chamber filled with artifacts that radiate power, walls lined with books that whisper in languages dead before Earth formed continents. And standing before him, hands glowing with eldritch energy, is Dr. Stephen Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme. Though Anakin doesn't know that title. All he knows is that someone just moved him against his will, and the last person who tried that was Count Dooku. It didn't end well for Dooku. "Lower your weapon," Strange says, his voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to being obeyed. "I mean you no harm. I merely sought the most efficient way to begin this conversation." Anakin doesn't lower his lightsaber. The Force screams warnings about this man, intelligence like a scalpel, power barely restrained, arrogance masked as enlightenment. A familiar combination, too familiar. "You teleported me," Anakin says, each word measured and cold. "Without permission, without warning. In my experience, those who act first and explain later usually have reasons to avoid honest conversation." Strange's expression shifts just slightly, because that assessment is uncomfortably accurate. How many times has he made unilateral decisions, convinced his knowledge justified bypassing consent? The parallel is unwelcome. "I am Dr. Stephen Strange," the sorcerer begins, lowering his hands slowly, a gesture of peace that costs him visible effort. "Master of the mystic arts, and protector of this dimension from threats beyond mortal comprehension. And you are a threat I have never encountered before." He gestures, and the air between them shimmers, showing scenes from across the city. Anakin restraining the Hulk. Anakin rendering attackers unconscious. Anakin standing alone, radiating power that makes reality uncertain. "You wield something that is neither magic nor science. You impose your will on others with frightening ease. And you carry the certainty of someone who believes they are righteous. That combination has destroyed civilizations. So yes, I brought you here because I needed to understand what you are before you become what you could be." Anakin's blade doesn't waver, but his eyes narrow. "What I could be?" The question carries an edge sharp enough to cut. "You watch me save people and assume I'm a threat. I stopped a monster from killing civilians. I prevented an assault. I have done nothing but uphold peace since I arrived in this chaotic nightmare you call a universe." Strange winces at that phrasing because Anakin isn't entirely wrong. The Marvel universe is chaotic, unstable, held together by luck and heroism, constantly on the verge of catastrophic collapse. But chaos and freedom are inseparable. Order without freedom is tyranny, and Strange has walked that line long enough to see where Anakin is headed, even if Anakin himself is blind to it. "You stopped the Hulk," Strange counters, "by force. Without understanding the context, without knowing that Bruce Banner is one of Earth's greatest heroes, that his condition is tragic, not criminal. You saw a threat and neutralized it because you decided that was correct. What happens when you decide Earth's governments are inefficient? When you conclude that free will causes more suffering than order? When you determine that your judgment supersedes ours?" The questions hit like accusations because they are accusations. Strange is not arguing against what Anakin has done. He is arguing against what Anakin will do, against inevitability, against the pattern every version of Stephen Strange has seen in 1,000 timelines. The pattern of a powerful man who saves the world by destroying what made it worth saving. The lightsaber finally lowers, but not in surrender, in consideration. Anakin's mind races through Strange's words, dissecting them, finding the flaws. "You speak of free will as if it's sacred," he says slowly, "but I have seen what free will becomes without guidance. Slavery, corruption, war, suffering on scales you cannot imagine. The Jedi Order maintained peace for 1,000 generations because we understood that some choices cause more harm than good, that sometimes people need to be protected from themselves. And there it is, the core belief that will eventually lead Anakin to slaughter younglings in the belief he is creating a safer galaxy. Strange hears it, recognizes it, and realizes with creeping dread that arguing philosophy with Anakin Skywalker is like arguing theology with a fundamentalist. The conclusions are already reached, the justifications already constructed. I have looked into 14 million possible futures, Strange says quietly, and for the first time, uncertainty cracks his composed facade. I have seen worlds burn and heroes fall. I have witnessed extinction events and reality itself unraveling. And the futures I fear most are not the ones where monsters win. They are the ones where heroes become monsters by believing they alone know what is right. He steps closer, abandoning mystical threats for simple human desperation. You are powerful, Anakin Skywalker, more powerful than most beings I have encountered. But power is not wisdom, and the certainty you carry, that unshakable conviction that you know the correct path, is the same certainty I see in tyrants and fanatics. The only difference is scale. Anakin's jaw tightens. He wants to argue, wants to explain that Strange is wrong, that he is nothing like Palpatine or Dooku or the war profiteers who turned the Republic into a machine of suffering. But the Force is whispering something he doesn't want to hear, showing him visions of his own future in this new universe, standing over bodies of heroes he defeated for the greater good, imposing order on a world that fears him, alone, powerful, righteous, and utterly, completely wrong. He shoves the visions away, buries them under layers of denial and justification. If you brought me here to threaten me, he says, voice flat, you have failed. I am not your enemy unless you make me one. I want only what any Jedi wants, to maintain peace and protect the innocent. Strange nods slowly, but his eyes are sad, because he has heard variations of that speech from every villain he has ever faced who started as a hero. Then answer me this, he says. If maintaining peace requires overriding free will you do it? If protecting the innocent means controlling them, stripping their agency, deciding their fates, will you do it? Silence stretches between them like a chasm. Anakin wants to say no, wants to believe he would never cross that line, but they both already know the answer. In the silence, in the hesitation, in the way Anakin's hand tightens on his lightsaber, the answer is written. Yes, if he must, if there is no other way, if the stakes are high enough. Yes. And Doctor Strange sees his worst fear confirmed. The Marvel Universe has just inherited a ticking bomb wrapped in noble intentions, and the timer is already counting down. She finds him before Strange can stop her. Wanda Maximoff stands in the doorway of the sanctum, chaos magic crackling around her fingertips, and her eyes lock onto Anakin's with the recognition of someone who has seen herself in a stranger. Strange tries to intervene. Wanda, this isn't the time. But she ignores him, because she felt Anakin's power touch hers earlier, felt the shape of his soul, and recognized something that terrifies her. Another person whose love is so vast it could collapse into a black hole. Another person whose fear of loss is powerful enough to tear apart the fabric of reality. She came because she needs to know if what she sensed is real, if she is truly not alone in carrying this specific burden. And one look at Anakin's face tells her everything. Yes, he understands. He carries the same weight. You dream about her, Wanda says. Not a question, but a statement. Every night, you reach for her and she isn't there, and you wake up feeling like the universe has been hollowed out. Anakin's breath catches. How could this stranger know about Padme? About the nightmares that have haunted him since Tatooine, since his mother died in his arms, since he learned that love and loss are the same coin flipped at different angles. Strange watches the exchange with growing alarm because he recognizes this moment. Two unstable elements making contact, two people whose emotional volatility could trigger cascading reactions. Chemistry, the dangerous kind, not romance. Something worse, mutual recognition, shared trauma creating resonance. amplification instead of balance, catastrophe waiting for a catalyst. I see him sometimes, Wanda continues, moving closer despite Strange's silent warnings. My brother, Pietro. He died saving people, being a hero. And I see versions of futures where I bring him back, where I remake reality itself so he never died at all. Everyone I love is safe and nothing can hurt them ever again. Her voice cracks on the last words, chaos magic flaring brighter, responding to her emotional state. Anakin understands immediately. This is the dark side in different packaging, the temptation to use power to prevent loss, to control fate, to make the universe bend to the shape of your desperate need. He has fought this battle every day since he met Padme. Every day he has told himself that accepting loss is the Jedi way, and every day he has lost that battle a little more. The visions, Anakin says quietly, and Wanda nods. They both have them. Prophetic nightmares showing futures that might be, probably are, inevitably will be. Padme dying, Pietro dead, the people they love most stripped away by forces beyond their control, and both of them, Jedi and Avenger, carry power sufficient to prevent those futures, if they are willing to pay the price, if they are willing to become what they swore never to be. Anakin has spent years believing his visions of Padme's death are avoidable, that he can find another way, that sacrifice doesn't have to mean sacrificing himself. Wanda is earlier in her journey, but walking the same path. Strange sees it happening in real time. Two people convincing each other that their fears justify their future actions, that love excuses any horror. You cannot trust the visions, Strange interjects, desperate to break the connection forming between them. The future is not fixed. Dr. Doom believed he had to rule the world to prevent catastrophe. Thanos believed he had to murder half the universe to save it. Every tyrant in history justified their atrocities with visions of a better tomorrow. But his words bounce off them like rain off stone, because Anakin and Wanda aren't hearing philosophy. They are hearing someone who has never loved so deeply that losing it would unmake them. Someone who cannot understand that some losses are literally unacceptable. That saying, let go, to someone whose entire identity revolves around protection is asking them to commit suicide, asking them to betray themselves, to fail. And failure is not an option when the stakes are everything. Anakin takes a step toward Wanda, and Strange's hands glow with defensive magic, ready to separate them if necessary. But Anakin isn't threatening. He is offering something more dangerous than violence. Understanding. They tell you to accept loss as inevitable, he says, voice low and intense. They speak of balance and wisdom and letting go. But they have never held someone they love while life fades from their eyes. They have never been powerful enough to save everyone except the one person who matters most. They do not understand that some losses break you so completely that you would burn the universe down just to feel whole again. Wanda's eyes glisten with tears because yes, exactly, someone finally understands, and Strange's heart sinks because he knows what comes next. He has seen this scene play out across dimensions, two damaged people validating each other's worst impulses, creating permission structures for atrocity. There are other ways, Strange tries again, but his voice lacks conviction, because he used the time stone to trap Dormammu in an infinite loop. He violated the sacred laws of time to save Earth. He broke his own rules when the stakes were high enough. Who is he to lecture Anakin and Wanda about restraint? Who is he to preach balance when he bargained with cosmic entities, when he manipulated time itself, when he condemned himself to die 14 million times to find the one future where they won? The hypocrisy tastes like ash in his mouth, and Anakin, who has fought alongside hypocrites his entire life, sees it. Sees the sorcerer's certainty crack, sees the admission that when it truly matters, everyone breaks their own rules, everyone becomes what they swore they would never be. It is not corruption, it is inevitability. Wanda reaches out, not physically, but with her power. Chaos magic touches the Force like two waves meeting in the middle of an ocean, and for a moment, reality shivers. Strange sees it. A flash of possible futures bleeding through. Anakin and Wanda standing side by side, reshaping Earth into something ordered, peaceful, safe. Every threat neutralized, every villain stopped before they can act, every loss prevented. Utopia built on the foundation of free will stripped away and replaced with benevolent tyranny. The future where powerful people who have suffered too much decide that no one else should ever suffer again, no matter the cost, no matter what must be sacrificed. And then the vision fades, leaving only 3 people standing in the Sanctum Sanctorum, each understanding that something has shifted. An alliance hasn't been formed yet, but the possibility hangs in the air like smoke, like prophecy, like the first spark before the wildfire. And Doctor Strange realizes with absolute certainty that he cannot stop what is coming. He can only hope to minimize the damage when these two inevitably break. When love becomes tyranny, when protection becomes prison, when 2 people who wanted only to save those they loved learn the hardest lesson of all, that sometimes the monster isn't what you fight. Sometimes the monster is what you become when you refuse to accept that some battles cannot be won. The decision happens in the space between heartbeats. Anakin stands on a rooftop overlooking downtown Manhattan, the Force showing him everything at once. A weapons deal in Brooklyn involving technology that could level city blocks. A Hydra cell operating from within a SHIELD facility, corruption rotting the institution from inside. 3 separate crime syndicates operating with impunity because the so-called heroes are too busy fighting each other to notice. This universe doesn't just tolerate chaos, it breeds it, feeds it, wears it like a badge of honor and calls it freedom. Anakin has watched for 3 days, analyzed, restrained himself, given them every chance to prove they can maintain order, and in 3 days he has seen enough. The Avengers are not peacekeepers, they are reactionary forces. They respond to crises but never prevent them. They treat symptoms but ignore the disease. It is time someone did what needs to be done. The Force moves through him like a storm given purpose. Across the city, in 17 locations simultaneously, criminals simply stop. Weapons fall from nerveless fingers. Drugs are crushed to powder by invisible hands. Stolen money flies back to its sources in streams of green paper. Every active crime in a 10-mile radius, halted, not arrested, not prosecuted, simply prevented from continuing. Anakin doesn't hurt anyone, doesn't kill, doesn't even leave them unconscious like before. He just makes it impossible for them to keep harming people. This is what the Jedi should have done during the Clone Wars. What they should have done instead of becoming generals in someone else's conflict. Direct action, immediate results. Peace through overwhelming force applied with surgical precision. In his mind it is flawless. In reality, it is the beginning of the end. Alarms scream across SHIELD helicarriers. Nick Fury watches his screens light up with reports of simultaneous incidents, all bearing the same signature. Reality manipulation, telekinesis on a massive scale, centered on a single individual. "Get me the Avengers," Fury says, his voice carrying the weight of someone who has seen this pattern before. Powerful beings deciding they know better than humanity. It never ends well. In Stark Tower, Tony's AI is already running scenarios. In the Sanctum, Strange is trying to contain the mystical backlash. And in Avengers Tower, Steve Rogers is suiting up because someone just imposed their will on thousands of people without consent, without due process, without anything resembling the principles America claims to stand for. Good intentions don't excuse fascism, they enable it. Rogers knows that better than anyone. He fought a war against people who believed their vision of order justified any cost. They come for him together: Captain America, Iron Man, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Thor, drawn from Asgard by Strange's urgent summons. Wanda stays behind at Strange's insistence, because putting her near Anakin right now would be like lighting a match in a room filled with gasoline. Anakin senses them approaching, reads their intentions through the Force, and feels something close to disappointment. Not surprise, disappointment. He stopped crimes, prevented suffering, protected the innocent, and their response is to treat him like a threat. It confirms everything he suspected about this universe. They don't want peace. They want the appearance of peace, the comfortable chaos that lets them play hero without addressing root causes. without making the hard choices, without accepting that sometimes freedom must be curtailed to prevent catastrophe. The Jedi Code never prepared him for a universe this broken, this resistant to salvation. "Stand down," Captain America's voice carries across the rooftop, shield raised, back up at his shoulders. "You violated the rights of hundreds of people. I don't care how noble you think your intentions are. That's not how we do things here." Anakin's hand rests on his lightsaber, but he doesn't ignite it, not yet. "I stopped criminals from harming innocents," he replies, his tone reasonable, almost gentle. "I prevented suffering. That is how Jedi do things. How do you do things, Captain? You wait until people are hurt, then react. You debate and discuss while more die. You prioritize the rights of predators over the safety of victims." Steve's jaw tightens because Anakin isn't entirely wrong. The system is slow, imperfect, reactive. But the alternative, preventive justice, thought crime enforcement, guilt assigned before action taken, is worse. He knows this, lived through variations of it, fought against it, died to stop it, or tried to. The difference, Thor's voice rumbles like distant thunder, is that we trust people to choose. You have decided their choices for them. That is not heroism, stranger. That is tyranny dressed in righteous cloth. The god of thunder floats down, Mjolnir crackling with lightning, ancient eyes seeing patterns mortal heroes miss. He has watched civilizations rise and fall, has seen well-meaning gods impose their will on mortals, always with the same result: resentment, rebellion, ruin. Anakin meets his gaze without flinching, because he has faced Sith Lords and survived. Because he is the chosen one, prophesied to bring balance to the Force, and prophecy doesn't fear thunder. "I trust people to choose between right and wrong," Anakin counters. "When they choose wrong, I stop them. That is not tyranny, that is justice." Iron Man's repulsors power up with a whine that sounds like a warning. "Yeah, here's the thing about justice," Obi-Wan Kenobi's angry younger brother. "It requires due process, evidence, trial. Not one guy deciding who deserves freedom and who doesn't based on his personal moral code." Tony's voice carries the sarcasm he uses to mask fear, because Jarvis is screaming at him that the power readings from the robed figure don't make sense, that the energy he wields operates on principles that violate known physics. Anakin's response is to raise one hand. Every piece of technology in a 100-meter radius simply dies. Repulsors, comms, targeting systems. The Iron Man armor becomes a coffin of dead metal. Tony drops like a stone, barely catching himself with manual controls, backup power kicking in too slowly. It is a demonstration, a statement. "Your technology means nothing. Your numbers mean nothing. I am beyond you." And the Avengers, for the first time, understand what they are facing. Not a villain, not a hero, something worse. A zealot armed with godlike power and absolute certainty. A man who believes he is saving them, who will save them whether they want it or not, whether it kills them or not. Captain America's shield flies. Hawkeye's arrows launch. Black Widow moves with lethal grace, and Anakin's lightsaber ignites with a snap hiss that cuts through the tension like prophecy. Azure light bathes the rooftop in ghostly illumination as the blade deflects the shield, sending it spinning off course, and slices through arrows mid-flight with casual precision. The Force wraps around Black Widow, stopping her 3 feet from Anakin, holding her suspended and struggling. He doesn't hurt her, doesn't even look at her, just keeps her neutralized while he addresses the others. "I don't want to fight you," he says, and the tragedy is that he means it. "But I will not allow you to. Oh, stop me from protecting people, not anymore. This universe is broken, someone has to fix it. If the heroes won't, then..." He doesn't finish the sentence, doesn't need to, because Thor is already swinging Mjolnir, lightning arcing across the sky, and Anakin raises his other hand to meet a god's wrath with the Force. And in that moment, as power collides with power and the rooftop cracks beneath them, every person watching realizes the same terrible truth. Anakin Skywalker isn't here to join the Avengers, he is here to replace them, to show them how peacekeeping should be done. And if they resist, he will go through them the same way he has gone through every obstacle in his life, with overwhelming force, with absolute conviction, with the unshakable belief that he is right and they are wrong and the ends always justify the means. Different universe, same flaw, same inevitable outcome. And the storm has only just begun. Lightning collides with the Force in an explosion that shatters windows for 3 blocks. Thor's hammer meets invisible resistance, crackling energy against energy, God's strength against trained discipline. Anakin's feet dig trenches in the rooftop as he holds his ground, one hand extended, the Force channeling through him like a river through a dam. He has never felt this kind of raw elemental power before. The Asgardian isn't just strong, he is strength incarnate, millennia of combat experience compressed into every blow, but Thor fights with honor. Restraint, the burden of knowing his power could kill. Anakin has no such limitations. He fights to win, to prove a point, to show these heroes that their way, reactive, hesitant, bound by rules, cannot match directed purpose. The Force tightens around Mjolnir, and for the first time in 1,000 years, Thor feels his weapon resist his call. Captain America doesn't hesitate. While Anakin is focused on Thor, Steve closes the distance with the speed of a super soldier and decades of combat instinct. His shield connects with Anakin's ribs, a blow that would shatter normal bone, and Anakin staggers. Pain explodes across his side, the Force-enhanced reflexes saving him from worse damage, but not negating it entirely. He releases Black Widow from his telekinetic grip and pivots, lightsaber sweeping in an arc that would bisect a normal man. Steve's shield catches the blade in a shower of sparks, vibranium absorbing energy that would cut through starship hulls. They stand locked, face to face, and Steve sees it in Anakin's eyes. Not malice, not madness, conviction. The same look he saw in Schmidt's eyes when the Red Skull believed he was creating a better world. Belief is more dangerous than hate because you cannot reason with faith. "You're better than this," Steve grunts, shield vibrating under the sustained contact with the lightsaber. "Yes, I've seen men like you before. Good men who convince themselves that Force was the only answer. It always ends the same way." Anakin's jaw clenches, anger flashing hot. "You have seen nothing," he spits back. "You play at war in a universe where death is temporary, where villains return again and again because you lack the will to end them. I have fought in conflicts that consumed galaxies. I have seen what happens when good people do nothing. You call me a tyrant for preventing crimes. I call you a coward for allowing them." The words hit Steve like physical blows because there is truth buried in the accusation. How many times has he captured the same villain? How many people died because justice showed mercy where perhaps it shouldn't have? Iron Man's systems reboot, arc reactor flaring back to life. But Tony stays grounded, because watching Anakin hold off Thor and Captain America simultaneously has recalibrated his threat assessment from dangerous to extinction level. He switches comm channels, bypassing the jammed frequencies, directly contacting Strange. "Please tell me you have a plan that doesn't involve all of us dying." Strange's voice comes back strained, stretched thin across multiple realities. "I am attempting to contain the temporal fluctuations his power is causing. Every time he uses the Force, it creates ripples in possibility. Futures are collapsing, reforming. I have never seen anything destabilize reality quite like this. He is not of this universe, Tony. He is literally incompatible with our laws of physics. Fighting him here might tear holes in space-time itself." Hawkeye lines up a shot from a neighboring building, specialized arrow designed to deliver an electromagnetic pulse powerful enough to disrupt neural pathways. He hesitates, because Clint Barton is a father, a husband, a man who understands what it means to love someone so much that losing them becomes unthinkable. He saw Anakin's face during the argument with Strange days ago, saw the way the stranger's hand unconsciously reached for someone who wasn't there, saw grief and fear wrapped so tightly around conviction that they became indistinguishable. This isn't a villain, this is a tragedy in progress, a good man breaking in real time. But good intentions paving roads to hell doesn't make the destination any less damning. Clint releases the arrow. It flies true, and Anakin, without looking, catches it mid-flight with the Force, crushes it, drops the fragments. never stops watching Captain America. The message is clear. You cannot surprise me. You cannot stop me. Surrender or escalate. Choose. Thor makes the choice for them. He calls lightning from a cloudless sky, channeling the full power of the storm, holding nothing back because he has finally recognized what the others haven't yet accepted. This stranger is not testing them, he is judging them, and has found them wanting. The lightning strikes Anakin directly, 1 billion volts designed to incinerate. The force wraps around Anakin like armor, redirecting the energy into the rooftop, into metal supports, anywhere but his body. The building groans, concrete cracks, and Anakin's patience, already stretched past breaking, finally snaps. His other hand extends, and Thor is yanked from the sky like a puppet on strings, slammed into the rooftop hard enough to leave an impact crater. The god of thunder tries to rise, cannot. The force presses him down with the weight of planets, immobilizes him, makes him understand helplessness for the first time since childhood. Enough. Anakin's voice cuts through the chaos like a blade, and the word carries such finality that everyone freezes. I tried reasoning. I tried demonstrating. I tried showing you a better way. You responded with violence, with rejection, with the arrogance of people who think their broken system deserves defending. He looks at each of them in turn. Thor pinned and struggling, Steve bleeding from a dozen cuts, Tony's armor sparking and damaged, Widow and Hawkeye held at bay by sheer presence. I am not your enemy, but I will not allow you to perpetuate suffering in the name of freedom. This universe needs order, needs structure, needs someone willing to make the hard choices you avoid. If you will not protect your people properly, then stand aside and let someone who will. And that is when Wanda Maximoff arrives, chaos magic tearing through strangers' containment wards, her power screaming in harmony with Anakin's conviction. She hovers above the battlefield, eyes glowing crimson, and Doctor Strange's worst nightmare materializes before him. The two most emotionally unstable powerhouses on Earth, united by shared trauma and mutual validation, standing together, ready to save the world, whether the world wants saving or not. The Avengers look at each other, battered and outmatched, and understand the choice before them. Surrender and allow these two to reshape Earth into their vision of paradise, or fight, knowing they might not survive, knowing victory might require killing people who genuinely believe they are heroes. Captain America's hands tighten on his shield. Tony's repulsors charge one more time. Thor summons lightning that makes the sky weep. And Anakin Skywalker, standing at the center of a battle he never wanted but always knew was coming, reaches for his lightsaber and prepares to show the Marvel Universe what happens when a Jedi stops holding back. When conviction meets desperation, when love becomes tyranny, when the chosen one chooses wrong, again, always, inevitably. And in the Sanctum Sanctorum, watching through the eye of Agamotto, Stephen Strange sees the moment where everything could have been different, the fork in the road, the choice that determines whether Anakin becomes Earth's greatest protector or its most terrible conqueror, and realizes with soul-crushing certainty that the choice was already made, was always going to be made. The moment Anakin Skywalker arrived in this universe, the ending was written. All that remains is watching it unfold and hoping enough people survive to pick up the pieces when gods and heroes inevitably fall. Reality fractures, not breaks, fractures, like glass under impossible pressure. The battle freezes mid-motion as space itself bends inward, and suddenly they are not on a rooftop in Manhattan anymore. They are nowhere, everywhere, suspended in a void where concepts like up and down lose meaning, where time flows sideways and consciousness expands past the limits of mortal comprehension. The living tribunal stands before them, three faces representing equity, necessity, and vengeance, each one judging from perspectives that predate galaxies. Beside it, the Watcher, massive and ancient, eyes reflecting every tragedy that has ever occurred across infinite realities, and around them, cosmic entities whose names would shatter human minds simply by being spoken. They have come because reality itself called for intervention. Because Anakin Skywalker's presence is causing the universe to make choices it should not have to make. Anakin Skywalker. The Watcher's voice echoes from dimensions humans cannot perceive. I have watched your kind across countless realities. The pattern you represent occurs with disturbing frequency, powerful, traumatized, convinced that your suffering grants you wisdom, that your pain justifies your choices, that love, when wielded like a weapon, can carve safety from chaos. Uatu's massive hand gestures, and suddenly they are watching scenes from other universes. An Anakin who became Vader and conquered the galaxy. An Anakin who killed Palpatine and crowned himself Emperor believing he was saving the Republic. An Anakin who prevented Padme's death by enslaving billions to his will. Different choices, same core, same inevitable descent, same refusal to accept that some things cannot be controlled, cannot be saved, must simply be endured. Anakin watches himself, thousands of versions, infinite variations, and feels ice crystallize in his veins. Every timeline shows the same trajectory. Good intentions collapsing into atrocity, protection becoming domination, love curdling into possession. No, he whispers, but the word has no force, because he sees it, sees himself standing over Padme's body in one timeline, alive but lifeless, saved physically but destroyed spiritually by the very power meant to protect her. Sees himself in another timeline, ruling a galaxy of slaves, all of them safe, none of them free, and calling it peace. Sees version after version where his conviction, his absolute certainty that he knows best, transforms him into exactly what he swore to destroy. The pattern is undeniable, inescapable, written into his very soul like prophecy carved in flesh. You believe you are different from those who came before, the living tribunal's voice of equity speaks, neutral and absolute. You believe your cause is just, your methods necessary, your pain unique, but while ye have witnessed this story 10,000 times across 10,000 realities. The variables change, the core remains constant. You are a fulcrum Anakin Skywalker, a single point upon which entire universes pivot, and in every reality where you refuse to accept loss, where you choose control over trust, power over humility, certainty over wisdom, the result is the same: ruin, not just for you, for everyone. The words should feel like condemnation. Instead, they feel like diagnosis, like a doctor telling a patient their condition is terminal. No anger, no judgment, just fact, inevitable, unavoidable, already written. Wanda floats beside him, chaos magic flickering uncertainly, and she is seeing her own futures too, realities where she rewrote Earth to bring back Pietro, where she became the Scarlet Witch in truth, a goddess of grief who unmade reality itself to escape pain, where she and Anakin together reshaped the universe into a prison of enforced happiness, everyone safe, no one alive, perfection achieved through the death of possibility. She reaches for him, not physically but emotionally, seeking the connection that drew them together, seeking validation that they are right, that the cosmic entities simply don't understand, that love justifies everything. But Anakin cannot give her that comfort, because he is staring at himself, at all of himself, at every version of Anakin Skywalker that ever existed, and seeing, for the first time, what everyone else has always seen, a weapon aimed at his own heart, a tragedy masquerading as heroism, a man so desperate to prevent loss that he creates it with his own hands. I am not them, he says finally, but even he hears the uncertainty. I can choose differently. I can... The Watcher interrupts with infinite gentleness. You have said that in every timeline, believed it with absolute conviction in every reality, and in every reality, when the moment comes, when you must choose between accepting loss or preventing it through force, you make the same choice. You always make the same choice, Anakin. It is not weakness, it is who you are. The chosen one, prophesied to bring balance, but balance requires accepting both light and darkness, life and death, attachment and release. You have never learned that lesson. In some timelines you learn it too late, in others you never learn it at all. But the outcome is always the same: pain. For you, for everyone you love, for entire civilizations caught in the gravity well of your conviction. The void shifts, showing him this universe's possible futures. Anakin and Wanda standing over a conquered Earth, heroes dead or imprisoned, peace enforced at gunpoint, every threat neutralized because free will has been replaced with benevolent tyranny. Zoom out. See the cosmic entities watching with sorrow. See reality itself beginning to unravel because two broken people rewrote fundamental laws to escape grief. See the heat death of the universe accelerated by 1,000 years because chaos and order must balance and they tipped the scales too far. See Wanda's eventual breakdown when she realizes what they have done. See Anakin alone again, surrounded by the ashes of good intentions, finally understanding what everyone tried to tell him, that you cannot save people by controlling them, cannot create peace through domination, cannot love someone and own them simultaneously. The lesson comes too late. It always comes too late. Because Anakin Skywalker's greatest strength, his unwavering conviction, is also his greatest weakness, and no amount of power can fix a fundamental flaw in perspective. We do not condemn you. The living tribunal's voice of necessity speaks. We have seen beings far more malicious, far more destructive. Your intentions are pure. Your pain is real. Your love is genuine. But the road to multiversal annihilation is paved with genuine love. We cannot allow your trauma to become everyone else's catastrophe. You have a choice, Anakin Skywalker. Return to your own universe. Accept that some losses cannot be prevented. Learn to live with grief instead of weaponizing it, or continue this path. Attempt to save this universe from itself and become the very thing you fear most. The cosmic entities withdraw slightly, giving him space to decide, giving him the freedom he would deny others. The irony is not lost on anyone, and Anakin stands in the void between universes, between choices, between the man he is and the monster he could become, and realizes that this is the test. This has always been the test, not of power, not of skill, not of conviction, but of wisdom, of humility, of the ability to look at yourself, truly look, without flinching, without justification, and accept what you see, even if it breaks you, especially if it breaks you. And for the first time in his life, Anakin Skywalker is genuinely uncertain which choice he will make. Silence stretches across the void like skin over a wound. Anakin's mind races through possibilities, through justifications, through every argument he has ever used to convince himself that his way is right. The cosmic entities wait with infinite patience because time here is meaningless, because they have watched civilizations rise and fall in the space between heartbeats, because Anakin's choice has already been made in 1,000 other timelines, and they know, with absolute certainty, what he will choose. But they must let him make it anyway. Free will is not negotiable, even for those who would deny it to others, especially for them. The test is not whether Anakin can make the right choice. The test is whether he can recognize that there is a right choice to be made, and he is failing it in real time, the same way he has failed it across infinite realities. Then she appears. Padme. Not real. Anakin knows she is not real, but a construct pulled from his memories by the Force, by his desperate need, by the universe itself taking pity on a man who cannot save himself. She stands before him exactly as he remembers, soft eyes filled with concern, hand extended, that gentle smile that made him believe he could be more than a weapon. "Ani," she says, and his heart shatters. Just his name, just that nickname, spoken with love and sadness and the weight of everything they could have been. "You are trying so hard to prevent a future that hasn't happened yet, so afraid of losing me that you cannot see you are losing yourself." Her hand touches his face and the warmth is impossible, unbearable, because he knows this is illusion but needs it to be real more than he needs oxygen. "I can save you," he whispers, and the words taste like ash. "In this universe, with this power, I can prevent everything. No Palpatine, no Empire, no death. I can make sure we are safe, that everyone is safe, that no one ever suffers the way we have suffered." Padme's smile turns sad. the way it did when she realized the war was changing him, that the Jedi she loved was becoming someone she did not recognize. And who will save them from you, Anakin? When your protection becomes a cage, when your love becomes ownership, when you have prevented every possible harm except the one you inflict yourself. The question hangs between them like prophecy, like truth, like the one thing Anakin has spent his entire life running from, the possibility that he is the danger, that his convictions are the threat, that in trying to prevent tragedy, he becomes it. The vision shifts, Padme fades, replaced by another scene pulled from futures that might be. Anakin sees himself on a throne made of good intentions, Earth reshaped into his vision of peace. Crime is non-existent because free will has been curtailed. Suffering has ended because choice has been removed. Everyone is safe. No one is alive. They breathe, eat, exist, but something essential has been stripped away. The spark that makes humanity worth saving has been extinguished in the name of protecting it, and Anakin sits alone at the center of his perfect world, surrounded by billions of people and utterly, completely isolated. Because you cannot love someone you control, cannot trust someone you dominate, cannot find connection with those who fear you. This is the future the cosmic entities are warning against. This is what happens when Anakin Skywalker decides he knows best. But then the vision shifts again, showing him the alternative, Anakin returning to his own galaxy, accepting that Padme's fate is not his to control, trusting the Force, trusting her, trusting that some losses must be endured because the cost of preventing them is too high. He sees himself in this timeline letting go, growing, learning the wisdom that has always eluded him, becoming the Jedi he was meant to be instead of the weapon he has always been. It is beautiful, peaceful, everything he has ever wanted, and it requires the one thing Anakin Skywalker cannot give: surrender, acceptance, faith that the universe does not need him to fix it, that he can be enough without being everything, that love does not mean preventing all harm, it means holding someone's hand while they face their own battles, supporting, not controlling, and watching this version of himself, this wiser, calmer Anakin who has learned to let go. It feels like dying. "I cannot," he says, and the words break something fundamental in the fabric of the moment. "I cannot watch her die, cannot stand by while people suffer when I have the power to stop it. You ask me to accept loss as inevitable, but you have not loved as I have loved, have not been chosen as I was chosen. The Force itself named me special, prophesied to bring balance. How can I fulfill that destiny by doing nothing?" The cosmic entities do not respond because there is no response that will reach him, because Anakin's logic is circular, self-reinforcing, impenetrable. He has built a fortress of justifications around his fear and called it wisdom, has wrapped his trauma in destiny and called it purpose, and no argument, no vision, no warning will penetrate that armor. Because accepting he is wrong means accepting he has always been wrong, that every choice he made, every sacrifice he demanded, every line he crossed, all of it was unnecessary, preventable, his fault, and that truth is more unbearable than any physical pain. Wanda floats beside him, tears streaming down her face because she is watching her own futures too and seeing the same impossible choice. Save everyone you love through force or lose them through acceptance. The options feel like choosing between breathing and dying. How can anyone choose death? How can love mean letting go? She reaches for Anakin's hand, and their fingers intertwine, two people drowning in grief choosing to pull each other deeper rather than swim separately to shore. "We can do this together," she whispers. "Save them. Save everyone. They will understand eventually. When the suffering ends, when peace is all that remains, they will thank us." And Anakin wants to believe her, wants to believe that righteousness justifies any cost, that the ends truly do justify the means, that two broken people can reshape reality into something better than the cruel universe that broke them. The cosmic entities see the decision crystallize, see the moment where Anakin chooses conviction over wisdom, where he decides that his pain grants him permission, where he looks at every warning, every possible future, every version of himself that has walked this path and ended in ruin, and decides he will be different, that his love is stronger, that his will is sufficient, that this time, somehow, against all evidence and probability, he will succeed where every other Anakin failed. It is the ultimate arrogance disguised as the ultimate love, and the living tribunal, who has witnessed the birth and death of universes, feels something close to sorrow, because they know what comes next, know that Anakin Skywalker has just chosen to become Darth Vader, not in name, not in appearance, but in essence. A man who believes his vision of order justifies any sacrifice, who will burn galaxies to save a single person, who cannot distinguish between love and possession. Different universe, same choice, same inevitable tragedy, and as reality snaps back into place, depositing Anakin and Wanda back on that Manhattan rooftop with cosmic power burning in their veins and absolute certainty hardening their hearts, the Avengers see it in their eyes, see the moment heroes became something else, something worse, something that truly believes it is saving the world. And Earth's defenders realize with sinking horror that the battle is no longer about stopping Anakin Skywalker, it is about surviving him. It begins with silence. Anakin and Wanda descend from the void, feet touching Manhattan rooftop, and the city holds its breath. The Avengers stand ready, battered but unbroken, weapons raised, knowing this is the moment where everything changes, where the line between hero and villain becomes irrelevant because good intentions have metastasized into something far more dangerous. Captain America opens his mouth to speak, to make one final plea for reason, but Anakin raises his hand and Steve simply stops, not frozen, not unconscious, just prevented from speaking. His vocal cords held immobile by the Force with surgical precision that should terrify everyone watching. Wanda's chaos magic spreads across the skyline like crimson veins, and every weapon in a 10-mile radius, every gun, every missile, every potential tool of violence simply ceases to function. Rendered inert, made safe, they are saving the world. Can't anyone see that? Can't anyone understand this is necessary? "We are not your enemies," Anakin says, and his voice carries across the city, amplified by the Force, reaching every ear, every screen, every desperate soul watching the confrontation unfold. "We are your salvation. For too long, this world has suffered under the illusion of freedom, freedom to harm, freedom to corrupt, freedom to choose wrong and drag innocence into the consequences. No more. Today, we give you something better than choice. We give you peace." Wanda nods beside him, tears still wet on her face, but conviction burning behind her eyes. She thinks of Pietro, of vision in futures yet to come, of everyone she has ever lost and everyone she might still lose if she does not act. The math is simple. Strip away agency, prevent harm, save everyone whether they consent or not. It is the only loving thing to do, the only moral choice. They tell themselves this as reality begins to bend around their combined will. Thor summons lightning with the last of his strength, a final desperate strike from a god who has seen this story before in Asgardian legends. The tales always end the same way: the benevolent tyrant, the loving dictator, the savior who becomes destroyer. His lightning strikes true, channels through Mjolnir with the force of stars dying, and Anakin catches it. Not deflects, catches, holds crackling energy in his bare hand like it is nothing more than morning mist, then releases it harmlessly into the sky. The message is clear. Your gods cannot stop us. Your heroes cannot save you. Surrender to salvation or drown fighting the tide. Thor's hammer falls from nerveless fingers. The god of thunder, who has never known true defeat, drops to his knees. Not from injury, from understanding, from recognizing that some battles are already lost before the first blow is struck. Iron Man's armor screams warnings as Tony tries one final gambit, a virus uploaded directly to Anakin's brain through electromagnetic pulses designed to disrupt neural pathways. It is brilliant, desperate, exactly the kind of Hail Mary that has saved Earth a dozen times before, and it fails. Anakin senses the attack before it launches, redirects the energy back into Stark's systems, and every piece of technology Tony Stark has ever created simultaneously recognizes a new master. Not through hacking, through fundamental rewriting of cause and effect. Wanda's chaos magic doesn't break code. It rewrites the probability that the code was ever written differently. Tony feels his life's work turn against him, feels every algorithm and AI whisper new allegiances, and understands with horrible clarity that he is watching something worse than Ultron, worse than Thanos, because those threats wanted destruction. Anakin and Wanda want to help, want to save everyone, and will annihilate free will itself to accomplish that goal. The world changes in waves, starting from Manhattan, spreading outward like ripples from a stone dropped in still water. Anakin and Wanda begin reshaping reality itself. Crime doesn't stop, it becomes impossible to commit. The neural pathways required for violence simply reroute before action can occur. Addiction, poverty, disease, not cured but prevented through retroactive alteration of circumstances. A homeless man in Brooklyn wakes up in an apartment he doesn't remember renting. Memories adjusted so he believes he has always lived there, the suffering erased along with the agency that made his struggles meaningful. A drug dealer in Harlem tries to make a sale and finds himself physically incapable of completing the transaction, hands refusing to obey, thoughts redirecting toward productive employment without understanding why. It is paradise, everyone is safe, no one chose it. And those who resist, who fight against the benevolent chains, they find themselves gently, inevitably, lovingly forced to comply. Dr. Strange watches from the sanctum, the eye of Agamotto showing him futures collapsing into a single, inevitable outcome. He could fight, could summon every mystic art ever conceived and throw himself against this tide. But he saw the cosmic entity's warning, saw the timelines where resistance only accelerates the catastrophe, saw the reality where fighting Anakin and Wanda creates a paradox that unravels causality itself. So Stephen Strange, sorcerer supreme and sworn protector of Earth, makes the hardest choice of his life. He does nothing, allows it to happen, watches heroes fall and free will die because intervening would only make it worse. And he will carry that shame for the rest of his existence. Will wonder every day if inaction was wisdom or cowardice, if letting Anakin win was the ultimate defeat or the only move that prevented total annihilation. There are no good answers, only different flavors of failure, different shades of tragedy. Anakin feels the weight of 8 billion minds pressing against his consciousness as the Force connects him to every living soul on Earth. He wanted this, fought for this, convinced himself this was necessary, but standing at the center of his perfect world, feeling the subtle horror of people whose suffering has been erased along with their humanity, he finally understands what everyone tried to tell him. Peace without choice is not peace, it is death wearing a pleasant mask. He looks at Wanda, sees the same realization dawning in her eyes, sees her chaos magic flickering uncertainly as she touches minds that are happy and hollow and horrifyingly empty of the spark that made them worth saving. They won, saved everyone, created utopia, and destroyed the very thing they meant to protect. The irony would be poetic if it were not so absolutely, completely devastating. In his own galaxy, this moment would have been his fall to the dark side, the moment Anakin became Vader. But here, in the Marvel Universe, there is no Sith Lord to blame, no Palpatine whispering corruption. Just Anakin Skywalker, the Chosen One, learning too late that some destinies cannot be prevented, some patterns cannot be broken, some falls are inevitable no matter which universe you inhabit. The story ends not with explosions or final battles, but with silence. Anakin stands alone on that rooftop. Wanda has fled, unable to face what they have done, and watches his perfect world spin beneath him. Safe, ordered, dead in every way that matters. 8 billion people living lives they did not choose, following paths predetermined by someone who loved them too much to let them stumble. And Anakin Skywalker, the man who wanted only to prevent loss, realizes he has become the greatest loss of all. The living proof that love without wisdom is tyranny. That conviction without humility is catastrophe. That the road to hell is paved not just with good intentions, but with the absolute certainty that your intentions are good enough to justify any cost. Different universe, same fear, same choice, same outcome, always, inevitably, forever. Because some men are not defined by the worlds they inhabit, but by the patterns carved into their souls. And Anakin's pattern was always tragedy, in every reality, in every timeline, in every version of himself that has ever existed or ever will. The Chosen One prophesied to bring balance, and he did, by proving that even in a universe of gods and monsters, the most dangerous threat is a good man who refuses to accept that he might be wrong. The cameras watch, the world sleeps its forced peace, and Anakin Skywalker stands alone in his victory, finally understanding what it cost. Everything, everyone, himself most of all. And in the ruins of his good intentions, the Marvel Universe learns the oldest lesson in any cosmos, that the difference between a savior and a destroyer is often nothing more than perspective and time, and the willingness to see yourself clearly before it is too late. For Anakin, it is already too late. It was always too late. From the moment he arrived, from the moment he chose conviction over wisdom, from the moment that he decided his love was worth more than their freedom. The ending was written. All that remained was living through it. And now, in the quiet after the storm, in the peace that feels like a grave, the universe holds its breath, waiting, watching, wondering if anyone will rise to stop the man who saved the world by killing everything that made it worth saving. The answer, like everything else in Anakin Skywalker's story, is already known, already inevitable, already too late to change. Different universe, same tragedy, same fall, forever and always and without end. This is what happens when love becomes tyranny, when protection becomes prison, when the Chosen One chooses wrong, and learns, far too late, that some choices echo across eternity, that some falls have no bottom, that some hells are built with the best intentions and paved with the broken pieces of everyone you ever tried to save. The end. If this story made you question where heroism ends and tyranny begins, leave a comment. Tell me, was Anakin a villain, or just a man who loved too deeply in a universe that punished love? Could anyone have saved him, or was his fall always inevitable? Drop your thoughts below, because in the grim darkness of the Marvel Universe, there are no heroes, only people trying desperately not to become the monsters they fight, and sometimes, despite everything, failing anyway.